All right, we're going to talk about question 17, but you'll notice that I'm including questions 16 and 18 on my board here. And that's because 17 is a no line reference question, right? There's nothing. So if we haven't read the passage, which is the strategy I prefer, I still need to kind of figure out where to look for this. And that's why the chronology rule can be so helpful, is it's going to narrow our focus to just the lines based on the fact that the questions are supposed to be in order, right? So it's obvious that my answer to number 17 should probably be before line 72. And for question 16, if we got it right, we would have seen that the correct lines were 31 to 40. But I think even if you got it wrong, you'd still be able to use the chronology rule to help you, because most people who get it wrong pick B. And so you're still kind of in this 22 to 26 range. And so we're looking kind of in the 40s and 50s and 60s to kind of find this. It's still a lot. But the good thing about no line reference questions is that they tend to ask very narrow, specific questions. So if we read the question first, we'll know what we're looking for. So it's not like we need to understand 30 lines here. We just need to look for one particular thing, and I think we'll know as soon as we find it. It'll be easy to spot. So let's see if I'm right. According to the passage, reducing commute time for drivers can have which of the following effect? So I'm looking for something that talks about reducing commute time. So let's go to 40, that's right here. And we're going to start, and then 72 would be all the way down there. So this is a lot of lines to kind of look at, but let's see if I find it. By indirectly encouraging people to live still farther from their jobs, stores, schools, and doctors' offices, and by forcing municipalities to further extend road networks, power grids, water lines, and other civic infrastructure. Okay. If you cut commuting time, it's like literally what we were told to look for, by 10%, people who now drive 50 miles each way to work can justify moving 5 miles farther out because their travel time won't change. This is how metropolitan areas metastasize. It's the history of suburban expansion. So what are they saying? They move further away. That's it. Now, you could read the rest and try to see if there's any other place where they mention cutting commuting time. I'm going to skip that for the sake of our time. But let's now go to the choices, and we're looking for something that says they're moving further away. That's our summary of what they said. So what's the effect? Drivers become more productive employees than they previously were. No, doesn't talk about that. B, mass transit gets extended farther into suburban areas than it previously was. Well, it sounds like it's about moving farther away, but remember, it's about the people moving farther away, not the mass transit. So maybe you keep this one because you're a little nervous, but mass transit seems to not match with what we were finding in the lines. Choice C, mass transit carries fewer passengers and receives less government funding. No, they definitely didn't talk about that. Drivers become more willing to live farther from their place of employment than they previously were. They're moving farther away. That's it. That's the exact thing we read. So notice, yeah, at first this seemed like it was going to be trouble because we didn't have a line reference. We've got to read a ton of lines to try to find this answer. But because the question was so specific, once we kind of got started, we found that answer very quickly. We were confident that that was the answer, and so this turned out to be less of a pain than it was. So my advice in general for the SAT reading is don't panic. Just trust the process, trust the chronology rule, trust the no reading strategy, and you'll be surprised how quickly you find a lot of answers when your head isn't cluttered with a million things, right? Read with purpose, narrow your focus to a few lines. It'll all work out. It's okay.